Have you ever felt a lingering heaviness after interacting with someone, as if your energy has been subtly siphoned away? Malicious individuals, whether intentional or not, possess certain destructive patterns of behavior that can slowly erode your peace of mind and personal growth. Left unchecked, these behaviors can entangle you in cycles of negativity, draining your emotional reserves and distracting you from what truly matters in life. In ancient philosophy, particularly Stoicism, the focus is on maintaining inner tranquility amidst external chaos. The Stoics taught that while we cannot control the actions of others, we can learn to protect ourselves by recognizing harmful influences and responding with wisdom. Understanding the warning signs of manipulative or toxic people is not about living in fear. It's about cultivating discernment, preserving your well-being, and fostering meaningful relationships built on trust and respect. In this video, we'll delve into 12 subtle but insidious behaviors that malicious people commonly exhibit. By identifying these patterns, you'll not only safeguard your emotional health, but also strengthen your ability to navigate the world with clarity and composure. If you're on a journey of personal development through the lens of Stoic philosophy, this knowledge is a vital tool in building a resilient, virtuous character. Let's explore these behaviors together, using the timeless wisdom of the Stoics as our compass. Prepare yourself for a transformative lesson in discernment, one that empowers you to maintain your focus, nurture your personal growth, and lead a life of integrity despite the presence of disruptive forces. Shall we begin? 1. Subtle manipulation, a silent threat to your autonomy. Have you ever sensed that someone was subtly steering your choices, nudging you toward actions you wouldn't have taken on your own? Manipulation, by its very nature, is often imperceptible until the damage is done. It is a refined art, executed by those who seek to control others without their awareness. To the untrained mind, these manipulative tactics may seem harmless, perhaps even well-meaning. But to the Stoic, they represent a serious threat to personal autonomy, which lies at the heart of a virtuous life. Manipulation can manifest in countless ways. A friend guilting you into helping them despite your reluctance, a colleague sowing doubt in your decisions to elevate their own standing, or even a partner subtly twisting facts to suit their narrative. Dr. Harry Brecker, a renowned psychologist, defines manipulation as covert influence exerted to serve the manipulator's agenda, often at the expense of the other party's well-being. From a Stoic perspective, manipulation disrupts one's rational judgment, which Marcus Aurelius reminds us is essential for maintaining inner harmony. When someone manipulates you, they aren't merely altering your actions, they are intruding upon your mind, the sacred domain where wisdom and virtue reside. Recognizing manipulation is the first step in defending against it. Common tactics include inducing emotional guilt. If you cared, you would do this for me. Gaslighting to distort your perception of reality, and constantly playing the victim to shift responsibility away from themselves. Manipulators thrive on these strategies because they work subtly, often without the target realizing they are being controlled. The Stoics teach that true freedom comes from within, freedom of thought, freedom of choice, freedom from being enslaved by the whims of others. Thus, identifying manipulation is crucial to preserving this inner liberty. What can you do when you sense manipulation creeping into your life? The Stoic approach offers a clear path forward. 1. Set firm boundaries. A simple, firm no is sometimes the strongest shield you can wield. By refusing to yield to emotional pressure, you assert control over your own actions. 2. Trust your intuition. If something feels off, do not dismiss it. Your intuition is often the first line of defense against subtle manipulation. 3. Seek clarity from trusted allies. The Stoics believed in the value of wise counsel. Share your concerns with someone you trust and gain an objective perspective on the situation. As psychologist George Simon noted, the best defense against manipulation is knowledge. By arming yourself with this understanding, You begin to break free from the invisible strings manipulators use to control you. Remember, even well-intentioned individuals can fall into manipulative behavior unconsciously. It is a human flaw we all share to some degree. The key is not to obsess over it or become cynical, but to remain vigilant and discerning. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Recognize manipulation for what it is, a test of your ability to remain grounded in rational thought. Protect your autonomy, guard your peace, and move forward with clarity, knowing that no one can take away your freedom unless you allow it. 2. The reluctance to apologize, a shield of fragile ego. Have you ever encountered someone who seems incapable of uttering the simple words, "I'm sorry"? No matter how glaring their mistake, they refuse to acknowledge fault, preferring instead to cling to excuses or shift blame. This reluctance to apologize is not merely an irritating quirk. It reveals something far deeper, a fragile ego wrapped in layers of defensiveness. To the Stoic, admitting mistakes is not a sign of weakness but an essential practice of humility and self-improvement. Those who refuse to do so shield themselves from vulnerability at the expense of personal growth and meaningful connection. Life, as the Stoics often remind us, is a continuous process of learning. Mistakes are inevitable, but they are also valuable, each one offering an opportunity to refine our character. Refusing to apologize is akin to rejecting these lessons. It demonstrates an unwillingness to confront imperfection and, by extension, a refusal to grow. Psychologist Robert Enright, a pioneer in the study of forgiveness, notes that the inability to apologize often stems from a fear of appearing weak. Yet, as the Stoic philosopher Seneca teaches, true strength lies in the ability to face one's flaws with courage and transparency. How can we identify those who refuse to apologize? They often follow predictable patterns. 1. They always have an excuse. Rather than take responsibility, they rationalize their actions to maintain an illusion of being right. 2. They divert blame. Pointing fingers at others or external circumstances becomes their default response. 3. They downplay the harm caused. Instead of addressing the impact of their actions, they minimize it, making others feel as though their pain is unwarranted. This behavior, though widespread, is not without consequence. Relationships built on denial and defensiveness are fragile, prone to tension and mistrust. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. In the context of dealing with apology-averse individuals, this means rising above the pettiness of ego battles. Rather than mirror their behavior, we must cultivate our own humility and be willing to admit when we are wrong. If you find yourself frequently dealing with someone who never apologizes, or worse, if you recognize this tendency in yourself, there are Stoic strategies to help navigate the situation. 1. Practice empathy. Understand that their reluctance stems from fear, not malice. Compassion, rather than confrontation, may encourage change. 2. Set clear boundaries. Just because someone refuses to apologize doesn't mean you must accept harmful behavior. Define what is acceptable and stand by it. 3. Lead by example. When you make a mistake, own it. By demonstrating the strength of vulnerability, you may inspire others to do the same. Ultimately, the refusal to apologize is a symptom of a deeper problem, an ego unwilling to be tempered by truth. But as Stoics, we understand that ego must be kept in check if we are to live a life of virtue. The next time you encounter someone who refuses to admit fault, remind yourself that their behavior is a reflection of their inner struggle, not a judgment of your worth. Respond with wisdom, stay grounded in your principles, and remember that humility is the foundation of true strength. In moments when you feel tempted to withhold an apology, pause and ask yourself, am I striving to be right, or am I striving to be better? The Stoic path is clear. choose growth over ego, and you'll find that the willingness to apologize becomes not a burden, but a bridge to deeper wisdom and stronger relationships. 3. The absence of empathy, a barrier to genuine connection. Have you ever encountered someone whose cold indifference left you feeling unseen, unheard, or even dehumanized? A lack of empathy is one of the clearest signs of a harmful individual, yet it is often disguised behind a mask of logic, detachment, or even feigned concern. Empathy, as described by the Stoics, is not mere emotion. It is the ability to understand and share another's perspective without being overwhelmed by it. It is a fundamental pillar of human connection, without which relationships become shallow, transactional, and devoid of genuine care. In Stoic philosophy, empathy is closely tied to our shared nature as rational beings. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that we are made for cooperation, like feet, like hands, like eyelids, like the rows of the upper and lower teeth. This profound observation highlights the Stoic belief in interconnectedness. To lack empathy is, in a sense, to deny one's own humanity, for how can we live harmoniously if we fail to recognize the inner lives of others? Those who lack empathy often display distinct behaviors. 1. Indifference to the suffering of others. They react with detachment or even irritation when others express pain. 2. Inability to see things from another's perspective. They dismiss differing viewpoints as irrelevant or misguided. 3. Insensitive or callous remarks. Their words often lack consideration, cutting deeply without acknowledgement of the harm caused. The consequences of such behavior are far-reaching. Without empathy, trust cannot flourish and relationships become strained. Worse, it fosters an atmosphere of isolation and emotional neglect. Yet, the Stoics believe that empathy, like any other virtue, can be cultivated through practice and intention. If you find yourself dealing with someone who seems to lack empathy, or if you recognize moments when you have struggled to show it yourself, there are steps you can take to foster this vital quality. 1. Don't take their indifference personally. Remember that their lack of empathy reflects their own limitations, not your worth. 2. Lead by example. Demonstrate empathy even when it is not reciprocated. Sometimes, consistent compassion can soften even the hardest hearts. 3. Be patient with growth. Empathy, like a muscle, develops with practice. Encourage others, and yourself, to cultivate it slowly over time. The Stoic path is one of balance, feeling deeply without being consumed, caring for others without losing oneself. A lack of empathy, whether in others or within ourselves, is a reminder to return to this path, to seek the middle ground where rationality and compassion coexist. As Epictetus teaches, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. In listening, we begin to bridge the gap between ourselves and others, cultivating the understanding that empathy requires. In a world increasingly marked by detachment and superficial connection, the practice of empathy becomes a quiet form of rebellion, a way to maintain our humanity and build genuine, meaningful relationships. So, the next time you encounter someone who seems to lack empathy, resist the urge to mirror their indifference. Instead, see it as an opportunity to embody the Stoic virtues of patience, kindness, and rational compassion. After all, it is through empathy that we rise above mere existence and truly learn to live. 4. The habitual creation of conflict, a disruption to inner peace. Have you ever found yourself caught in the whirlwind of needless drama, wondering why some individuals seem to thrive on chaos? The constant creation of conflict is not merely an annoying trait. It's a deliberate attempt by certain people to unbalance others and draw attention away from their own flaws. To the Stoic, such behavior is not only disruptive to external harmony, but also to the cultivation of inner peace, which is the cornerstone of a life well lived. Understanding how to identify and handle conflict-driven individuals is essential for preserving both personal growth and emotional stability. In Stoic philosophy, peace is a virtue that must be actively nurtured. As Ryan Holiday aptly puts it, calm is contagious, but so is chaos. Those who stir up conflict often do so because they are internally unsettled, using external drama as a distraction from their own discontent. Psychologist John Gottman identifies this behavior as contempt, a toxic element that poisons interpersonal relationships and creates an atmosphere of constant tension. The Stoics remind us that while we cannot control the actions of others, we can choose how we respond to them. Therefore, the key lies in practicing discernment and refusing to be drawn into unnecessary battles. People who habitually create conflict exhibit predictable patterns. 1. They provoke disagreements over trivial matters. Small issues are blown out of proportion, turning minor disagreements into major disputes. 2. They seek attention through chaos. Drama becomes a tool to make themselves the center of focus, feeding their desire for significance. 3. They use conflict to mask personal flaws. By directing others' attention outward, they avoid accountability for their own shortcomings. When faced with such individuals, it's tempting to react in kind, escalating the situation. However, Stoicism teaches us that reacting emotionally to conflict only gives power to those seeking to disturb our tranquility. Marcus Aurelius advises, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed." In other words, by refusing to engage in their theatrics, we deny them the satisfaction of controlling our emotional state. Here are Stoic strategies to navigate interactions with conflict-driven people. 1. Don't feed the drama. Conflict requires two participants. By remaining calm and composed, you prevent the situation from escalating. 2. Practice Stoic indifference. Instead of becoming emotionally entangled, view their behavior with detached observation. Recognize that their actions are a reflection of their internal turmoil, not of your worth. 3. Surround yourself with those who value peace. Seek out relationships that foster mutual respect and harmony. The company you keep greatly influences your ability to maintain inner calm. It's important to understand that those who create conflict are often struggling with battles of their own, battles we may never fully see or comprehend. However, while we can empathize with their struggles, we must also protect our own well-being. As Carl Jung wisely noted, what you resist persists. What you accept transforms. Accept the presence of conflict-driven individuals, but do not allow their chaos to become your reality. In a world filled with noise and distraction, the ability to remain calm in the face of conflict is a rare and precious skill. By cultivating this stoic calmness, you not only protect your peace, but also inspire others to do the same. The next time you find yourself surrounded by unnecessary drama, take a deep breath, ground yourself in rationality, and remember, you are the guardian of your own tranquility. Let no one take that away from you. 5. Chronic dishonesty, undermining the foundations of trust. Imagine building a relationship as if it were a house, with each shared truth acting as a solid brick in its foundation. Now picture someone replacing those bricks with hollow imitations, truths disguised as lies. Over time, the entire structure becomes unstable, vulnerable to collapse at the slightest pressure. Chronic dishonesty is not just an inconvenience. It's a corrosive force that erodes trust, distorts reality, and damages both personal integrity and relationships. For those on a Stoic path, honesty is more than a moral ideal. It is a necessity for living in accordance with reason and virtue. Stoicism holds truth in high regard. Seneca reminds us that honesty is the first chapter in the Book of Wisdom, highlighting its central role in personal development. Lies, on the other hand, create a false reality, leading us further from rational judgment and genuine connection. Chronic liars, whether through small deceptions or elaborate fabrications, weave a web of falsehood that traps not only those around them but also themselves. Over time, dishonesty becomes their default language, making it increasingly difficult to discern the truth, even for them. How can we recognize chronic dishonesty? Here are common signs. 1. Inconsistencies in their stories. Details shift or contradict over time, creating a confusing and unreliable narrative. 2. Avoidance of direct answers. When pressed for clarity, they evade or deflect, rarely offering a straight response. 3. Frequent excuses for questionable behavior. Rather than taking responsibility, they fabricate reasons to justify their actions. 4. Changes in body language. Subtle physical cues, such as avoiding eye contact or fidgeting, often accompany dishonesty. Dishonesty may seem harmless in the short term, perhaps even advantageous in certain situations. But in the long run, it deteriorates the very fabric of relationships, leaving behind mistrust and resentment. A relationship built on lies is like a house built on shifting sand. No matter how grand it appears, it cannot endure. For those committed to living a Stoic life, cultivating honesty is essential to maintaining inner peace and authentic relationships. How, then, can we respond to chronic dishonesty without allowing it to disrupt our lives? Stoicism offers a clear approach. 1. Recognize the signs but don't obsess over them. It's important to be aware of dishonesty, but dwelling on it can lead to cynicism. Acknowledge it without letting it consume your thoughts. 2. Hold firm to your own integrity. Just because others choose dishonesty does not mean you must do the same. Stay committed to truth, regardless of how others behave. 3. Communicate clearly and set boundaries. When confronted with dishonesty, calmly state your observations and establish what you expect in future interactions. Boundaries protect both your emotional well-being and your commitment to honesty. It's also worth reflecting on moments when we ourselves may have been less than truthful. Honesty, like any virtue, requires consistent effort and self-awareness. The Stoic practice of daily reflection, as recommended by Seneca, can help us identify where we may have strayed from the path of truth and guide us toward correction. In the end, dishonesty, whether from others or within ourselves, tests our commitment to virtue. It challenges us to remain grounded in truth and reason, even when doing so feels inconvenient or difficult. As Stoics, we do not seek to control the actions of others, but to cultivate our own character. By embracing honesty and rejecting falsehood, we strengthen the foundation upon which a life of wisdom and virtue is built. So, the next time you encounter dishonesty, remember, while others may distort reality, you have the power to remain steadfast in truth. Let your words be bricks of integrity, and in doing so, build a life that stands firm against the shifting sands of deception. 6. Exaggerated reactions, a mirror of inner turmoil. Have you ever found yourself walking on eggshells around someone, wary of how they might explode at the slightest criticism or disagreement? Exaggerated reactions, those disproportionate emotional outbursts, are not merely signs of immaturity. They reflect a deeper struggle within the individual. For the Stoic, such outbursts indicate a mind that lacks mastery over itself, one that is ruled by unchecked emotions rather than guided by rational thought. Understanding how to navigate such situations is crucial for maintaining both personal serenity and healthy interactions. Stoic philosophy teaches us that emotional control is a hallmark of inner strength. As Epictetus advises, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Those who react excessively to minor provocations reveal a fragile ego, one that perceives even constructive criticism as a personal attack. This inability to accept criticism stems from deep-seated insecurities and a fear of vulnerability. Rather than reflecting on their flaws and striving for improvement, They lash out in an attempt to protect their self-image. Exaggerated reactions manifest in several recognizable ways. 1. Over-the-top defensiveness. They respond to even mild feedback with hostility, as though their very identity is being threatened. 2. Blame shifting. Instead of acknowledging mistakes, they deflect responsibility onto others or external circumstances. 3. Emotional volatility. Their mood can swing dramatically, creating an unpredictable and tense environment. Dealing with such individuals can be draining, but Stoicism offers a path of calm resilience. Rather than being drawn into their emotional storms, the Stoic remains grounded, choosing to act rather than react. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is a call to maintain our composure in the face of external turmoil, recognizing that we cannot control others' behavior, only our response to it. Here are some Stoic strategies for handling exaggerated reactions. 1. Don't engage emotionally. Reacting emotionally only fuels the fire. Instead, remain calm and composed, refusing to be provoked. 2. Set boundaries. Make it clear what behavior is acceptable and what is not. Boundaries are essential for protecting your emotional well-being. 3. Respond with rationality, not hostility. When addressing the issue, use clear and logical language. This not only diffuses tension, but also reinforces your own practice of self-control. It's important to remember that exaggerated reactions often stem from unresolved inner struggles. While it's not your responsibility to fix these issues, recognizing their source can help you approach the situation with empathy rather than frustration. However, empathy does not mean tolerating harmful behavior. It means understanding without allowing it to disrupt your peace. In moments when you feel the urge to retaliate or escalate a conflict, pause and reflect. Am I acting from reason or reacting from emotion? The Stoic path demands that we choose the former, for only through reason can we maintain control over our inner state. As Seneca wrote, "A wise man is neither raised up by prosperity nor cast down by adversity, for he has always sought to rely chiefly on himself." The same principle applies here. Do not allow the exaggerated reactions of others to dictate your mood or disturb your tranquility. By mastering your response to emotional outbursts, you not only protect your inner peace, but also set an example of calm strength. In a world where emotional volatility is increasingly common, the ability to remain composed becomes a rare and valuable skill. So, the next time someone reacts with disproportionate intensity, take a breath, hold your ground, and remember that true power lies in your ability to stay calm amidst chaos. Let your steady presence be a testament to your commitment to Stoic principles, guiding you through life's storms with unwavering clarity and purpose. 7. Protagonist syndrome, the illusion of being the center of the universe. Have you ever met someone who behaves as though the world exists solely to revolve around them? This self-centered worldview, often referred to as protagonist syndrome, reflects a distorted sense of importance. To such individuals, life is a stage, and they are the star, while everyone else plays a supporting role. Though this mindset may seem harmless on the surface, it can lead to narcissistic behaviors that undermine relationships, disrupt cooperation, and hinder personal growth. For those on a Stoic path, recognizing this tendency in oneself or others is vital to cultivating humility, perspective, and genuine connection. The Stoics emphasize the importance of understanding one's place in the grand order of existence. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You are a part of the whole. Do not forget that the whole does not exist to serve you, but you to serve the whole." Those suffering from protagonist syndrome forget this fundamental truth, believing that their desires, opinions, and experiences are more significant than those of others. This mindset blinds them to the value of other perspectives and prevents the mutual respect necessary for healthy relationships. Individuals with protagonist syndrome display distinct behaviors. 1. A constant need for attention. They seek admiration and validation, often monopolizing conversations and demanding the spotlight. 2. Dismissal of others' experiences. They downplay or disregard the struggles and achievements of others, prioritizing their own narrative. 3. A sense of entitlement. They expect special treatment and react poorly when things don't go their way, as if the world has wronged them personally. Engaging with someone trapped in this mindset can be exhausting, as they rarely acknowledge the needs or feelings of others. However, Stoicism teaches us to approach such situations with a balanced perspective. Instead of becoming frustrated or resentful, we can choose to see their behavior as a reflection of their internal struggle, a misguided attempt to find significance in a vast and indifferent world. As Epictetus reminds us, it is not events themselves that disturb us, but our interpretations of them. By reframing how we perceive their behavior, we can maintain our inner peace while dealing with them effectively. Here are Stoic strategies for interacting with individuals who exhibit protagonist syndrome. 1. Set clear limits. Don't allow their self-centeredness to consume your time or energy. Establish boundaries to protect your well-being. 2. Avoid feeding their ego. While offering occasional acknowledgement is fine, avoid excessive praise that reinforces their inflated sense of self. 3. Seek shared ground. Despite their self-focus, it's often possible to find common interests or values. Building on these can foster healthier interactions. At the same time, it's worth reflecting on whether we, too, sometimes fall into this trap. After all, the Stoics believe that self-awareness is the first step toward wisdom. There may be moments when we unconsciously view ourselves as the protagonist, expecting the world to cater to our needs and resenting it when it doesn't. Recognizing this tendency in ourselves allows us to shift our perspective, cultivating humility and a broader understanding of our place in the world. In a society that often glorifies individualism and personal success, it's easy to fall prey to protagonist syndrome. However, the Stoic path invites us to transcend this illusion, reminding us that while we each play a unique role in life, we are all part of something far greater. The next time you encounter someone who seems trapped in their own narrative, or find yourself tempted to believe the world owes you something, pause, reflect, and remember. Life is not about being the star of the show, but about contributing meaningfully to the whole. In doing so, you will find a deeper sense of fulfillment, one rooted not in fleeting attention but in enduring purpose. 8. Exploiting others, the selfish game of manipulative opportunists. Have you ever noticed how some people only seem to appear when they need something from you? They are the ones who seek out your help in times of personal gain, but vanish when it's your turn to ask for support. This behavior, the art of exploiting others, is a hallmark of manipulative opportunists, those who prioritize their own advancement over genuine connection. To the Stoic, this tendency represents a profound moral failing, as it reflects a life driven by selfishness rather than virtue. Understanding how to identify and respond to such individuals is crucial for safeguarding both your time and your peace of mind. Seneca once said, "He who profits by the misfortune of others is not far from desiring it." This stark observation highlights the opportunist mentality. They view relationships not as bonds of mutual respect, but as opportunities for personal gain. To them, people are mere pawns in a game of self-interest, their value determined solely by their utility. Such a worldview is not only morally corrosive but also deeply isolating, for it prevents the opportunist from forming genuine, lasting relationships built on trust and reciprocity. Those who exploit others exhibit predictable behaviors. 1. Selective presence. They only show up when they need something, rarely offering help or support in return. 2. Flattery with hidden motives. Their compliments and gestures of kindness often have an ulterior motive, aimed at securing a favor. 3. Disregard for fairness. They take without giving, treating others' generosity as a resource to be exploited rather than reciprocated. Interacting with such individuals can leave you feeling drained and unappreciated. However, the Stoic approach offers a way to manage these relationships without becoming bitter or withdrawn. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Rather than allowing opportunists to change your character, remain steadfast in your principles while setting boundaries to protect yourself. Here are Stoic strategies for dealing with exploitative individuals. 1. Value your time and energy. Recognize that your resources, whether time, attention, or assistance, are finite. Offer them wisely, ensuring that they are directed toward those who genuinely appreciate and reciprocate your efforts. 2. Practice reciprocity. Healthy relationships are built on mutual exchange. If someone consistently takes without giving, it may be time to reconsider their place in your life. 3. Avoid resentment. While it's natural to feel used by opportunists, holding on to resentment only harms your own peace of mind. Instead, learn from the experience and move forward with greater discernment. It's also worth reflecting on moments when we ourselves may have acted opportunistically. After all, Stoicism teaches us that self-awareness is the foundation of personal growth. While seeking help is a natural part of life, the key lies in intention. Are we asking for support out of genuine need? Or are we taking advantage of others' goodwill without offering anything in return? Cultivating reciprocity in our own behavior ensures that we live in accordance with Stoic virtue, fostering relationships based on trust and fairness. In a world where opportunism can often seem like the norm, choosing to act with integrity becomes a quiet act of rebellion. The next time someone seeks to exploit your generosity, pause and reflect. Offer help when it aligns with your values, but do so with the clarity that comes from Stoic wisdom. Remember, it's not about withdrawing from the world but about engaging with it thoughtfully, ensuring that your actions reflect the person you strive to become. In doing so, you not only protect yourself from being exploited, but also inspire others to embrace a more virtuous way of living. 9. Disrespect for boundaries, eroding the foundations of self-respect. Have you ever dealt with someone who continually crosses personal boundaries despite your repeated attempts to set them? This persistent disregard for boundaries is a hallmark of manipulative and self-centered individuals. To them, your limits are mere inconveniences standing in the way of their desires. In Stoic philosophy, maintaining clear boundaries is essential, not just for personal peace, but also for cultivating self-respect. Those who fail to honor boundaries disrupt the balance of relationships, turning them into arenas of control rather than mutual respect. Personal boundaries serve as invisible lines that define who we are, what we value, and what we will not tolerate. As psychologist Henry Cloud once said, boundaries define us. They establish what is ours and what is not. Without them, we lose a sense of self, allowing others to dictate our actions and emotions. From a Stoic perspective, this is deeply problematic, as it undermines our ability to exercise rational judgment and live in accordance with our own principles. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, stand firm like a rock, unshaken by the waves of others' desires. Setting and enforcing boundaries is how we stand firm, ensuring that we remain true to ourselves in the face of external pressures. Those who habitually disrespect boundaries exhibit several telling behaviors. 1. Ignoring verbal and nonverbal cues. Even when you've expressed discomfort or a clear no, they persist as though your limits don't matter. 2. Pushing past requests for space. They invade your personal time and space, disregarding your need for solitude or rest. 3. Manipulating guilt to weaken your resolve. They often employ tactics that make you feel selfish or unreasonable for setting boundaries. Stoicism teaches us that while we cannot control others' actions, we can control how we respond to them. Dealing with boundary violators requires a combination of firmness and inner calm. Here are some Stoic strategies for handling such individuals. 1. Be clear and assertive. Clearly communicate your boundaries without ambiguity. Use firm but respectful language to state what you will and will not accept. 2. Stay consistent. Inconsistency invites further boundary violations. If you give in once, you signal that your limits are flexible. Stand by your word to reinforce your resolve. 3. Detach emotionally. Do not allow guilt or emotional manipulation to sway you. Practice Stoic indifference. Acknowledge their behavior without letting it disturb your peace of mind. It's also important to reflect on whether you, too, respect the boundaries of others. Stoic self-awareness involves constant examination of one's own actions. Are there times when you've overstepped someone's limits, perhaps without realizing it? By cultivating respect for the boundaries of others, you reinforce your commitment to living virtuously and in harmony with those around you. In a world that often blurs the lines between connection and intrusion, maintaining clear boundaries is an act of self-preservation and integrity. It allows us to engage with others authentically while safeguarding our emotional well-being. The next time someone disregards your boundaries, resist the urge to react with anger or frustration. Instead, stand firm with Stoic composure, knowing that respecting yourself is not only your right, it is your duty. As you do so, you set an example for others, teaching them, through your actions, the importance of boundaries in fostering healthy, respectful relationships. 10. Constant criticism, a reflection of inner insecurity. Have you ever encountered someone who seems to have a relentless need to point out flaws, yours, others, or even the world's? Constant criticism is more than just an irritating habit. It's often a projection of the critic's own unresolved issues and insecurities. While constructive criticism aims to build and improve, chronic criticism serves only to tear down and diminish. For the Stoic, this behavior is a sign of a troubled mind, one that has lost sight of reason and virtue. Understanding how to navigate such negativity is essential for preserving inner peace and fostering personal growth. The Stoics believe that speech should serve a higher purpose. Seneca taught, "Speech that elevates and improves is worth hearing. The rest is just noise." Chronic critics, however, speak not to uplift but to control, undermine, or validate their own sense of superiority. Their words often stem from dissatisfaction with themselves, projected outward in an attempt to mask their inner turmoil. Instead of striving to cultivate their own virtues, they focus on highlighting the perceived flaws of others, using criticism as a shield against introspection. This behavior can manifest in several ways. 1. Unsolicited advice. They offer criticism when none is asked for, often under the guise of helping, but with the intent to assert dominance. 2. Negative focus. They consistently dwell on what's wrong, rarely acknowledging what is right or commendable. 3. Persistent fault-finding. No matter how much effort is made, it's never enough to satisfy them, as their criticism is less about improvement and more about control. Dealing with chronic critics can be draining, but Stoicism provides a powerful framework for maintaining composure. Marcus Aurelius advises, accept what is said, but question its truth. If it is valid, learn from it. If not, let it pass. This approach allows us to sift through criticism without internalizing negativity. By evaluating the content of criticism rather than reacting emotionally to its delivery, we protect our sense of self while remaining open to genuine feedback. Here are Stoic strategies for handling constant criticism. 1. Separate truth from emotion. Not all criticism is valid. Distinguish between what is constructive and what is merely noise. Accept what helps you grow. Discard the rest. 2. Respond with calm detachment. Reacting emotionally only fuels the critic's agenda. Instead, Respond with rationality or, when appropriate, choose silence, sometimes the most powerful response. 3. Surround yourself with positive influences. Balance the negativity by seeking relationships that uplift and inspire rather than tear down. As Epictetus said, we become like those with whom we associate. It's also worth reflecting on how we handle criticism directed at us. Do we react defensively or take it as an opportunity to learn? Stoicism teaches us to view criticism, whether valid or not, as a chance to practice humility, patience, and discernment. Even unfounded criticism can serve as a test of our emotional resilience, helping us grow stronger in our pursuit of virtue. In a world where criticism often comes faster than encouragement, choosing how we respond is a mark of wisdom. The next time you face constant criticism, pause and reflect. Is there something to be learned, or is this an opportunity to practice indifference? Either way, remember that your worth is not determined by the opinions of others, but by your commitment to living a life of integrity. By staying grounded in Stoic principles, you transform criticism from a weapon into a tool, one that sharpens your character rather than wounds your spirit. Let your calm and thoughtful response be a quiet but powerful declaration that you choose growth over negativity, wisdom over noise. 11. Evading responsibility, a roadblock to growth. Have you ever met someone who always has a convenient excuse when things go wrong? These individuals, known for their skill in evading responsibility, seem to carry an endless arsenal of justifications, blaming external circumstances, other people, or sheer bad luck for their mistakes. To the Stoic, this behavior represents a fundamental failure in character. Responsibility, acknowledging one's actions and their consequences, is essential for personal growth. Without it, one cannot hope to cultivate virtue, learn from failure, or develop the resilience needed to face life's inevitable challenges. In Stoic philosophy, taking responsibility is seen as an act of courage. As Epictetus teaches, it is not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters. Those who evade responsibility avoid this crucial response. They deny their role in events, preferring to view themselves as passive victims of fate. But in doing so, they miss the opportunity to learn, to strengthen their character, and to exercise their rational faculties. Responsibility is not merely a burden. It is a path to self-improvement, a way to refine one's understanding of the world and one's place in it. Evaders of responsibility often exhibit recognizable behaviors. 1. Blame shifting. They quickly point fingers at others, deflecting any accountability for their actions. 2. Victim mentality. They portray themselves as helpless victims of unfair circumstances, seeking sympathy rather than solutions. 3. Excuse generation. They have a ready-made list of reasons why they couldn't meet expectations or fulfill obligations. Dealing with such individuals can be frustrating, especially when their lack of accountability affects others. However, Stoicism offers guidance on how to navigate these situations with composure and clarity. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Instead of engaging in fruitless debates or trying to force someone into taking responsibility, focus on embodying the principles you wish to see. Led by example, showing through your actions that responsibility is a mark of strength, not weakness. Here are Stoic strategies for responding to those who evade responsibility. 1. Stay grounded in your own accountability. Ensure that you take responsibility for your actions, regardless of how others behave. Your integrity is not dependent on theirs. 2. Avoid enabling excuses. While empathy is important, don't let it become a license for someone to continually avoid responsibility. Encourage ownership of actions without resorting to blame or hostility. 3. Focus on what you can control. You cannot force someone to change, but you can control your response. Maintain your standards, set boundaries when necessary, and continue your own path of growth. Just as it's important to recognize responsibility evasion in others, it's equally critical to reflect on our own tendencies. Are there moments when we, too, shift blame or make excuses? The Stoics teach that self-awareness is the key to self-mastery. By acknowledging and correcting our own lapses in responsibility, we strengthen our character and move closer to living in accordance with reason and virtue. In a world that often rewards evasion over accountability, choosing to take responsibility is a quiet but powerful act of defiance. It signals a commitment to growth, integrity, and self-discipline. The next time you encounter someone who avoids responsibility, don't be drawn into frustration. Instead, use it as a moment to practice Stoic principles. Let their evasion be a reminder of your own commitment to truth and accountability. In doing so, you not only protect your peace but also inspire those around you to rise above excuses and take ownership of their lives. Responsibility, after all, is not just an obligation. It is the foundation of a life well lived. 12. The pursuit of revenge, a prison of bitterness. Have you ever met someone who holds onto grudges as if they were precious treasures, unable to let go of even the smallest slight? The pursuit of revenge is an alluring trap, one that promises satisfaction but often delivers only further pain. Those consumed by vengeance believe they can restore their wounded pride or sense of justice by causing harm to others. However, the Stoics understood that revenge is a double-edged sword. It may hurt your enemy, but it will surely wound your soul. True strength lies not in retaliation, but in rising above the desire to harm others, choosing instead the path of wisdom and inner peace. In Stoic philosophy, vengeance is seen as a futile exercise. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Revenge chains us to the very people who have wronged us, allowing their actions to dictate our emotions and behavior. Instead of freeing ourselves from their influence, we become further entangled, consumed by bitterness and resentment. The Stoic path calls for detachment from external offenses, understanding that no insult or injury can harm our inner virtue unless we allow it. The pursuit of revenge often manifests in subtle yet destructive ways. 1. Rumor spreading. They attempt to tarnish others' reputations through gossip, hoping to inflict social harm. 2. Sabotaging opportunities. Whether in personal or professional settings, they seek to undermine others' progress, driven by envy or resentment. 3. Emotional manipulation. They use guilt or shame as tools to punish those they perceive as having wronged them. Dealing with vengeful individuals can be challenging, but Stoicism offers a path forward. Instead of engaging in their cycle of retaliation, we are encouraged to rise above petty conflicts and focus on maintaining our own virtue. Epictetus advises, when someone acts unjustly toward you, consider what has led them to this action, and you will find pity, not anger. By viewing their behavior through the lens of compassion and reason, we protect ourselves from being dragged down into the same destructive patterns. Here are Stoic strategies for dealing with those driven by vengeance. 1. Refuse to engage. Revenge requires participation. By refusing to retaliate, you break the cycle and deny them the satisfaction of control over your emotions. 2. Respond with Stoic calm. When confronted by hostility, remain composed. Your calm demeanor serves as both a shield against their negativity and a testament to your inner strength. 3. Focus on your growth. Instead of fixating on the wrongs done to you, channel your energy into personal development. This shift in focus not only preserves your peace, but also ensures that you continue progressing on your path. It's also important to reflect on our own tendencies toward vengeance. Are there moments when we seek to harm those who have hurt us, even in subtle ways? Stoicism teaches that forgiveness is not about excusing wrongs, but about freeing ourselves from the burden of resentment. As Seneca wrote, "It is a great soul that knows how to forgive." Letting go of vengeance does not mean condoning harmful behavior. It means refusing to allow it to control your thoughts and actions. In a world that often glorifies revenge as a form of strength, choosing forgiveness and forbearance is an act of profound courage. The next time you feel the urge to retaliate against someone who has wronged you, pause and ask yourself, will this action bring me closer to the person I want to become? The answer, if guided by Stoic wisdom, will be clear. True victory is not found in harming others, but in mastering oneself. By letting go of the need for revenge, you free yourself from the prison of bitterness and step onto the path of lasting peace and virtue. Conclusion. Now that we've explored the 12 warning signs of toxic behavior, it's clear that navigating the complexities of human interactions requires not only awareness but also strength of character. Life, as the Stoics teach us, is filled with external forces beyond our control, difficult people, challenging circumstances, and unforeseen events. However, true mastery lies not in changing the world around us, but in cultivating inner resilience, wisdom, and virtue. Recognizing harmful behaviors in others is the first step, but the Stoic path calls us to go further, to guard our peace, act with reason, and grow into better versions of ourselves. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. No matter how chaotic the world may seem, we always retain the power to choose our response. By practicing discernment, setting healthy boundaries, and refusing to be drawn into negativity, we create a life guided by clarity and purpose. The journey of self-improvement is never easy, but it is one worth pursuing, for it leads to a life of deeper meaning, tranquility, and fulfillment. If this video has helped you gain new insights or inspired you to reflect on your own path, I encourage you to take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. By subscribing, you'll stay connected with future content designed to help you cultivate a Stoic mindset, grow in wisdom, and face life's challenges with calm and confidence. Together, we can continue this journey of self-discovery and personal growth. Thank you for watching, and remember, every day is an opportunity to strengthen your character and live with integrity. Stay grounded, stay mindful, and as always, keep moving forward on the path of wisdom. See you in the next video.